the Fox News channel. Please welcome to the program, Congressman Peter King. Good morning, Congressman King.
Good morning, Don. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. How are you? I had Anthony Weiner on yesterday talking about this 9/11 first responders health care bill,
right, and
why it failed. And he said it failed because essentially there weren't enough Republican votes, and he was, I guess, blaming you. And when I asked him why the Democrats insisted on a two-thirds majority, he said that was to expedite the bill. But the criticism has been that it was to keep either Republicans or other Democrats or someone from adding amendments to it. So we asked you to appear to try to explain it to us. Please do that.
Yeah, thank you, Don. This is a vital, vital bill. I strongly supported the bill. I voted for the bill. I was the original co-sponsor of the bill with Carolyn Maloney and Jerry Nadler. We worked on this for over 5 years. And I must say that during that time, I saw very little input from Anthony Weiner. In fact, he did do some work on the committee, on his committee on this, but ironically enough, a person from my staff went over there to assist him during the committee, which is fine, but it just shows the fact how I made this a bipartisan issue. I was never, ever going to make this Republican or Democratic issue. We had meeting after meeting after meeting over the last several years, especially leading up to several weeks ago, and the bill was finally ready to go to the floor. And then it was about 10 days or 2 weeks ago that for the first time we heard the Democrats were going to ask for a two-thirds vote rather than a majority. And everyone knew, everyone involved in the talks knew that it could not get 290 votes. I mean, Anthony Weiner said yesterday that I had promised 40 to 50 votes, Republican votes. There's a story in the Daily News today where even Democrats say that is totally untrue. Never said that. At the most we ever would have gotten was maybe 24 if everything, it worked out exactly the right way. So that's totally untrue. Now, the reason they wanted to go to the two-thirds vote is they were afraid to have that the Republicans might offer an amendment or they might make what's called a motion to recommit to change the bill. Now, the Democrats can control the whole process, so they can limit how long the debate goes and everything else. So they could have limited it to one motion, and they were afraid the Republicans would make a motion to exclude illegal immigrants from the coverage of the bill. And people in the Hispanic caucus and others basically threaten the Democratic leadership and say, if that vote is allowed, there's basically going to be a revolution in the Democratic Party. And the Democrats did not want their members to take a tough vote in an election year. The only way you can avoid that vote is by putting it what's called on the suspension calendar, but that which means there's no amendments, no motions, but it requires a two-thirds vote. And
so now you're getting into minutia that ordinary people.
Well, I'm just saying, Don, to avoid an amendment, you put it on in a process where you have to get a two-thirds majority.
Oh, okay.
And every other bill that comes to the House floor,
so
any bill that's at all controversial goes to the House floor, and the minority party is always allowed to make at least one motion.
Okay, so when he says they did it to expedite the bill, that's not true?
It's totally untrue. And first of all, if we had gone the other route, if we had gone the route of a simple majority, the entire debate could have been limited to 4 or 5 hours. And it would be. And we do this all the time. And as far as trying to expedite it and move it through, I can tell you for 3 Fridays in a row this summer, the Democrats canceled Congress and sent people home because they didn't have enough work to do.
Okay, well, how many Republicans voted for this, for the bill that failed?
12.
Well, why didn't more Republicans vote for it?
Well, they should have, and I urged them to. When I was up in the House floor, I said they should. Why? Some of them have philosophical objections. They feel that that to have this money committed in advance, rather than authorizing it every year and go back and look at the program every year, they thought it was wrong. Others feel that there's too much opportunity for fraud. Now, I don't agree with this, okay? But I mean, those are the arguments the Republicans made. But, Don, I've been in Congress 18 years now. I have never seen, if you believe in a bill, if you want a bill to be passed, and you have 255 votes, I've never heard of anyone saying we have to get 290. And for Anthony Weiner to say he thought it was non-controversial, then I don't know where he's been, because we knew how controversial this was going to be. The Democratic leadership admitted all along in private they would never get the 290 votes. The original plan was, when they were going to go for the 290, they said, well, we'll lose on this, then we'll bring it back the next day under the other procedure. And when they then changed their mind again, I had the unions come to me, the mayor's office, and, you know, it's not just me saying this, Don. The New York Times said they acted foolishly, the Democrats, and they encouraged Carol Maloney, Jerry Nadler, and me to continue our work. Newsday, no friend of mine, said that the Democrats used a process that made it impossible to pass because they were afraid of.
Yeah, but you said the key thing, and that was you guys are all at fault. And first of all, you're at fault, maybe not personally, but the Republicans are at fault for not voting for it. If only 12 of them. So, and the Democrats are at fault for trying to pull this scam of this two-thirds majority. So,
Don, first of all, this is not.
We've had it with all of you.
No, Don, hold on for a second, please. This is not a Republican or Democratic issue. This is an American issue to get 218 votes. I've been involved in this for 5 years. It was never believed there would be more than a couple of dozen Republican votes. This was not a partisan issue. Now, on health care, the Democrats didn't say we had to get 290 votes to pass it.
Well, if it's not a partisan issue, then why didn't everybody vote for it?
Because Republicans have philosophical objections. Others may be against it, maybe for partisan reasons. But it was not a partisan issue if those of us were fighting for it. When I was sitting down with Jerry Nadler and Carolyn Maloney over the last 5 years, we knew exactly the number of votes we needed, and we went for it. This was the last minute. The Democrats control the House. And I'm using the word Democrat because it was their leadership to change it, Don. But the fact is they could pass this at any time. If you really
we're talking with the Congressman Peter King, who's fired up this morning here, 16 till the hour. The Democrats should have required a simple majority, and all of the Republicans should have voted for it. So you guys so everybody's at fault. Let me ask you this: why was Weiner so angry? And why was he so angry at you? Is there some personal thing between you two, or what's?
First of all, his conduct from beginning to end on this was shameful, and every reason he gave yesterday was untrue. For instance, he said that he was angry at me because I didn't respond in my speech to what Congressman Bob Goodlatte had said about New York. Well, the fact is, Bob Goodlatte spoke after I spoke and after Weiner spoke, so obviously that was not even a factor. He said I spoke at the end of the debate. Well, 11 more speakers spoke after I did, including 8 Democrats. He said, he told you that they did it to expedite it. Obviously, they knew it was going to be defeated. And that, Don, if we're talking about some kind of moral culpability here, if you control the House of Representatives and you believe in a bill and you put it up intentionally sabotaging it, knowing that it cannot pass, that's what's outrageous. And why did Anthony Weiner get mad at me? Because I blew the whistle. I was the one who showed the scam that was going on. And since that bill went down, I'm still working with Carol Maloney's office and other Democrats trying to find a way to bring this back up. When you asked Anthony Weiner yesterday, how many times did you ask him whether or not he would support bringing it up by a majority vote? He refused to answer, and I find that shameful.
Here's the thing that I find odd is I like both of you, by the way. I'm being serious. Okay. And you both seem like decent guys, but somebody's lying here. Either you or he is.
Well, go through the facts. Go through it one by one. Again, he said...
Let's just ask you. You go through the facts. Is he lying?
Yes.
Okay, so he's a liar.
Well, on these issues, he's totally wrong. Again, just what he said yesterday, 40 or 50 votes. He said, I spoke at the end of the debate, all of which is untrue. He got up in the House floor, was never even a major player in this whole bill to begin with. And what he was trying to do, I believe, is cover for what the Democrats were doing. And when I got up, I wasn't even thinking of Anthony Weiner because he was never a factor in this.
Yeah.
There were some other members of the New York delegation and the Democratic leadership who decided to use this phony process, and that's what it was. And again, when you asked him, Don, if he really believes, and I'm sure he does, the cops and firefighters are dying because this bill isn't being passed, why wouldn't he say to you yesterday, yes, we will bring it up on a majority vote because we know we can pass it? He didn't say that. I've never heard of having a bill you believe in and not letting it pass. It's just, it's disgraceful.
All right, I got to let you go, but thank you for coming on and explaining your side of this, okay?
Don, I appreciate the opportunity.
But you guys got to get this passed. I mean, somehow you got to get together.
As I said, I am committed, and as the New York Times said, as Newsday
let's get it done.
Put it up by a majority vote, and I've told the Democrats I will stand with them, and I will fight against...
I have to go. I can't take it anymore. My neck hurts. Come on. Thank you. Congressman Peter King here in the Imus Morning Program.
Congressman trailing off there.
13. I kind of feel like you're a ball in a pinball machine.
Yeah, it's tough.
So that's the problem you're faced with on